This is from DHH right here. Finding the last editor. No, Flip, cut it out. Do not put it in. Don't put it in. Some programmers can code under any conditions, including TextMate. OpenOffice, yes, they'll bring in headphones. Whatever editor is on their system, they'll make it work. Using a different framework or language every few years, no problem. I envy that level of versatility. But I have come to accept it just isn't me. I bond with a quiet room, an editor, and a programming environment far more deeply than that.
I'm gonna steal that line. It's so beautiful. It makes it sound so cool to be programming. It's like movie programming instead of like me yelling about that this didn't work and the tests are failing again.
Yes, that's pretty much me. Me wondering why it takes 12 seconds to run a file. I'm just like, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, like my wife. Are you okay down there? Are you okay? It was just JavaScript again. Okay.
I got JavaScripted. All right. Case in point. I've been using TextMate. This is still the craziest part of this entire article. I don't know what the hell happened here. How did you land on TextMate? That's the emergency
announcement.
Just get this man something, because this is what? Programming editor since it was first created back in 2004. What did he use before that? That's 20 years now, almost as long as my time with Ruby working on Rails. TextMate has seen its popularity come and go in that time. And today, few people are still choosing it, but I don't care. It's damn near finished software as far as I'm concerned, and I love programming with TextMate.
I like it. It's a good take. More people could probably just use to have the confidence to just like keep doing something they're good at instead of being scared and like switching everything every week.
Are you throwing shade right now, TEEJ?
I was just trying to give advice. I wasn't trying to be a burn.
Are you trying to say? Would you look at me instead of looking over to the side? No, look at me. Don't turn your back on me. Yeah, why don't you say it to my face, TJ?
Well, see, now that I'm streaming more and not finishing any projects, I'm not going to say, like, you need to finish your projects, but maybe, like, staying with the same technologies could be useful. But I did do Python this week.
That's the TextMate of programming languages, okay? It's actually not true at all. All right, it's all the little things, like the algorithm for escape completion of words within the current document, the macro recording and replay mechanism that I have used to set up the small handful of automations I use on a daily basis, like command return to turn the method into def method, new line, cursor, new line, but wait, that's the wrong new line. That's the wrong new line. End. Or do tab to do cursor, new line, tab, cursor, new line, end. I like, by the way, these little things right here that he's talking about, super, super duper useful. I actually use them quite a bit. In fact, I have one right here. If I do like some sort of Go file and I go leader EE, it just gives me if error does not equal nil, return nil or return error. So it's like I'm pre-seated. I'm ready to go. I like it. I like that. I like that move,
It is good. It helps you stay in the zone, I think.
Yeah. It's the superb column mode. Oh, and it's the All Hallows Eve color theme. The perfection with which it renders bitstream vera sans mano. Okay, so this man really does appreciate the little thing. I don't know what All Hallows Eve color scheme is.
Is it Halloween themed?
That's what I'm thinking, which is I'm trying to imagine that it's not just orange.
What if it was only orange? It's just only shades of orange?
I mean, apparently it may look like this. Here, let's throw in the word TextMate.
Okay.
That's All Hallows Eve.
It's not as orange as I thought it was going to be, but it's pretty orange.
I can't even think of a word that rhymes. Specifically
Door
for
hinge.
orange. There is a lot of orange in that one. Probably more orange than I'm comfortable with. Spooky?
Yeah.
No. It's not much because I'm not looking. I'm sorry. Go on,
he's
TJ.
Scaring away all the JavaScripters, or with like Ruby. He's like, I got to keep my IDE spooky. We don't want all the JavaScript to start creeping in.
And lo and behold, he can't even help it. It just keeps coming in. It's not much because I'm not looking for an IDE. I want to write my code in plain text editor and let that constraint force me to design programs and frameworks that require nothing more. I was actually going to mention this earlier, which is something that I'm very happy he did, which is I wonder how that, like, not having autocomplete, not having Copilot, not having effectively anything other than an editor, not even, I don't even know if TextMate has a fuzzy finder. I'm just curious if it changes like the shape of software in a dramatic way.
Clearly it's changed his, like, I mean, he's, as he says in the next sentence, right? He's like, he's super sensitive to any extra thing he adds to Rails because he has to type literally all of it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, is it that surprising that Hotwire is like a slightly more beefy version than HTMX?
Right. Yeah, like I don't think it is. And it's all like about, I mean, that's why I think he loves Ruby, right? Is like Ruby, you can just do like .xyz and it does like 95 things, right? You know what I mean? Like I feel like
It's a
that's why he
very
likes
high level language.
Yeah.
It's amazing how sensitive you become to extraneous elements when you literally have to type all of them by hand. It's surely one of the reasons I never got on with explicitly typed languages, which basically require an IDE to flow.
Oh, I'm the only one that pre-read now. Sure. Yeah, you just happened to predict that he was going to say that. You just happened to predict it.
Who, me?
That's literally what you said at the beginning.
What?
That he doesn't like typed languages because it needs an IDE, and he uses TextMate. Did you already forget? It was only like 30 seconds ago.
Of course, I literally have the memory of a goldfish. I don't even know what you're talking about, but that sounds like something I would say.
Who wrote this article? Where are we?
I cannot believe we're reading an article by Joe Biden. This is like, because, I mean, it makes natural sense because the only reason, I mean, TypeScript has, I guess the side reason is that you could execute something out of band to see if any of your types fail. But if you get absolutely no autocomplete, and the reality is production software, no matter how much TypeScript you use, there's still that 0.1% of requests failing due to undefined not being a function or something like that. Like, you just let it through the cracks. You naturally will code more defensively, is my assumption, and thus your software is more resilient. I don't know, just a guess.
Yeah.
When I flatter myself, I think of it like climbing free solo, minus the imminent risk of death. It's choosing for something to be harder because the constraint has value.
So I know some people like hate DHH's writing, but I feel like this shows that he's not taking himself too seriously, right? Like, you wouldn't include minus the imminent risk of death if you literally thought that you were as cool as someone climbing free solo, right? Am I crazy to think that?
No, because my first thought once I got done reading this was, except for the imminent thing of death. And then his next sentence was my exact thought, which is the whole, like, immediately dying part. He's chat, that was not a Windows sound. That wasn't. That was.
It was me. Sorry, chat.
TJ,
my
could
bad.
you turn your windows off, please? Some
yeah,
of
let
us
me
are
just
trying to stream.
Okay, it's off now.
I love that you turn off your windows the same way Donkey Kong does, hitting them bongos.
I just smashed the computer completely.
So, I'd long thought that TextMate might well be that forever editor for me. I've tried all of the major alternatives, but none of them has nailed the basics in the way TextMate does for me. Most of the new stuff they bought or brought to the party was stuff I'd pay to forgo. It's such an interesting thought process. Like, maybe, like I always say that learning a language is best done if you turn off your LSP. You will learn significantly better by not having that option and just having to go the slow way, having to go and look up every last thing. Things just stick in your head. Like, same with Copilot. Copilot largely robs you of the process of learning, like, a new language, though, like, especially with a language like Go, it's so simple that you can kind of go, oh, yeah, that's correct. Okay, that's correct. Okay, that's correct. But I may not be able to write Go effectively without Copilot because I'm just so used to it.
Some of that might too be because you already know a lot of other languages. Maybe it's easy in Go to, like, recognize the patterns that you already know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I also would be interested to know, like, how that feels for someone new starting out like if they used Copilot and Go, would they not get a bunch of the stuff that's happening? But yes, I think so as well. It's occasionally good to maybe turn off a few tools or do a few things different just to sort of like push your brain in a different way.
I like it.
Mhm.
But here's the problem. TextMate is tied to the Mac, and tying myself to the Mac seems like an increasingly bad idea. Apple has turned into the kind of company that I just don't want to have to rely on. That doesn't mean I can't use any of their products, but I absolutely do not want to feel like I have to. I want to have the independence where walking away is always an option, and it just isn't, as long as I'm committed to TextMate.
That's like the funniest sentence in the world, not because I disagree, but like TextMate is the thing that's holding him to Mac. Like, I don't know. In my mind, it's just like, like literally anything, like Google Docs. Like, could you just use Google Docs instead? Like, will that work just as good? I don't.
It is funny because I know people that are tied to Mac, like especially in the movie production world, where they
Right.
have to use some like arcane version of Mac because this one piece of software that is used in all movie productions only run on this one thing, and that's just how it works, and that's the industry standard.
Right.
This is just TextMate. Like you can literally just start Emacs and call it a day.
Right, that's the part that is like throwing me off. Like I get the sentiment, and he's had some run-ins with Mac, I guess, with their like, you know, their products on Apple and all this other stuff. But it's just like throwing me off. Like there's just, if you could put a word in at the end, right, and you're guessing the probability of the word, and the last word of that paragraph is just TextMate, you're like, that's low, probably. Like that's not the thing I'm guessing.
This must be some sort of legendary item we just stumbled upon because the probability is exceptionally low here.
Yeah.
All right, hold on 1 second. I do have to say thank you. Hey, I've noticed that there's been like some gifted subs and stuff like that. Hey, thank you very much. But I'm in the we're in the process of reading something, so hey, I'll get there. Oh my gosh, what happened? DHH is moving away from TextMate. Okay, this isn't crazy. Okay, the crazy part is that he's on TextMate.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, thus began the search for the last editor. I do love this idea of finalizing part of your setup, a setup that you don't have to touch anymore. It's one of the reasons why I try to edit very rarely. Just in general, my Vim setup is that I just want it to become more and more the same. And even if there's things that bother me, maybe I don't need to fix it. Like maybe I gotta like just having it always the same. There is something good about that.
Yeah, agreed. And just like, you can fix it later. Like you can try for a little bit. And maybe you were wrong about it being annoying. Maybe you like changed your brain and then it's good. Like we were talking about using, I don't actually know if you're on the Control Y for accepting completions train.
I am.
Okay, nice.
You were the one that made me switch from Tab to Control N and P.
Sweet.
And instead of Enter or whatever it was to Control Y. So now I use that.
And then it's like, at first it feels really weird, but then it's, at least for me, it starts feeling really natural. And like, it's nice that every key only has one thing that it can do and all this, right? And you're like, oh, it actually like works really well in my brain. Same thing, you know, I think a similar idea for what you like about Harpoon and what you like about Tmux, right? Is that like, oh, I always know that one does this particular thing, right? So like Tab always puts in a tab. Or like it does a tab-like thing, right? It doesn't sometimes expand a snippet and sometimes jump to the next thing and sometimes do a completion and sometimes accept a completion, right? Like, and so, sometimes you pick something and you like try it at first and it's confusing, but it gets good after you try it for a while.
One that isn't tied to a specific platform or preferably even a specific company and that I trust will be around until I'm done programming. VS Code has become the obvious choice for most of the web world, but the longer I spend working with it, the more I realize that its heart is beating to become a full-fledged IDE, and all I want is a text editor.
It's true.
It's fair.
He's not wrong.
Fair statement. I don't think we're going in the same direction, VS Code and I, and frankly, even with their latest redemption arc, I'm not keen to tie my editor commitment to Microsoft. A man after my own heart right here. Just absolutely love this. You knew this. You pre-read this, TJ, and you knew I was going to celebrate this one moment, didn't you?
He's singing our song. Singing our song.
Not only is he dunking on Apple, he's then Microsoft's catching strays as well. This is beautiful. Who knows what kind of villainy they may once again descend into. And if you hope to still be writing code for another 20 to 30 years. Oh, if you hope to wait, I missed something there. Take that out. Who knows what kind of villainy they may once again descend into if you hope to still be coding for another 20 to 30 years. I feel like I'm still missing something in that sentence, but I know what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
The suggestion I've heard Also, yeah. The suggestion I've heard a lot is Sublime. They have clients on macOS, Windows, and Linux. I hear a lot of good things about it. The spiritual successor to TextMate. You feel like that's true?
I think that would be it'd be a pretty fair assessment, I feel like, especially like it is cross-platform in that way. And in a lot of ways, I do think people who liked TextMate probably like Sublime. And it's like still getting some new features and stuff. And they are focused on like being fast and being a text editor. So I think I'd say it's fair.
One thing I like about Sublime is that no matter how big the file it is by far the most snappy editor when it comes to big files.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It is. I don't know what it is. Long lines doesn't bother. Like NeoVim can't handle a long line. You cross 10,000 characters in a single column, like it's so Jover. It's
Jover, big time.
It's Jover.
Yep.
But last time I gave it a shot, it felt like Uncanny Valley, very similar to TextMate, but not quite. And all the little differences added up to a shimmer I just couldn't shake. That's why I'm thinking it might be better to try something radically different.
I like shimmer I just couldn't shake. I feel like I want to use that. It's pretty fun to say.
A shimmer I just couldn't shake?
Yeah, I like it.
You know, it's funny that DHH doesn't like adding even one iota extra to his code. Yet the man's prose are very verbose in adjectives.
Yeah. I like it though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, I actually get this a lot. If you use something that is extremely close to something else,
yes,
it's almost worse than just simply doing something different, because then you're constantly trying to make it into something. You know,
it's like how two communists can never agree what communism is, right?
I'm glad, it's not a primetime video without communism mentioned at least once.
Hey, leave a comment below if you love communism like Prime, okay? Leave a comment below.
This is ridiculous. Enter Vim. It's part of the ultimate neckbeard duo of editors together with Emacs. It's an editor with a history that traces back to the late 70s, and it's iconically quirky. The long-running joke is that nobody knows how to even quit it when they first start. The command is right quit bang. But talk about standing the test of time. The modern interpretation of Vim is called the NeoVim, and it's got a cult following, including peoples whose parents weren't even born when Vi originally came about. It's still Vi. It's still quit bang to quit. It's still quirky, but it's also fast, modern, and integrates with the latest editor evolutions like language servers. I actually spent a summer programming in Vim prior to learning Ruby, and remarkably, a good portion of those quirky commands have stuck in my brain, partly because the magic of Vim is its ubiquity. Even Linux system has some version of it installed, so whenever I'm editing files on a remote system, it's with Vi mode. By the way, this is one of the greatest reasons. It's the reason why I always knock against Helix, is that Vim has such a ubiquitous set of shortcuts. It's available like in every single editor, that when you use it, I mean, even Xcode has it. And Xcode, I mean, sure, their emulation's not that great, but nonetheless, they like still have it. And one time I had to be in Xcode for like 3 months straight. And so it's just like having the ability to edit no matter what editor you're in decent comfort is such like it's just such a huge W.
It is, yeah. Having like Vim mode in things is very nice. I was a little confused. Did you skip over the cult stuff like on purpose, or you were just sort of worried about we didn't want to talk about the cult thing? No, just that NeoVim's got a cult following from the previous paragraph. I didn't know if you were just like skipping that because we didn't want to talk about it, or
no, as one of the cult leaders, I accepted that, and it seems actually completely normal. When I read that, I was like, yeah, that seems about right.
I actually was like, we should get this on neovim.io. This needs to be a new quote.
Yeah, it should be. It's a cult following whose parents were born after Vi was created. I do like,
well, it's like, oh man, it was a video from a while ago, but then they were saying everyone who uses Vim is of a certain generation.
Yes.
And they like said it really like,
yes,
really implying something. But I was like, and at the time I wasn't even 30, now I'm 30, I'm old, I get it. That's fine. But Vim a certain generation, and it's the Stack Overflow article.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's
That's
Stack
the one.
Overflow right here. Certain. There we go. The consensus among many Vim and Emacs users creates a picture that many tech users from a certain generation would be familiar with. It is literally the most like condescending quote that has ever existed in tech. I mean, in tech is just one condescending quote after another, and this one might be the worst one I've ever seen.
We need to get shirts that just says certain generation or so. You know what I mean? Like we need some merch, certain generation merch.
I like it. It's that certain generation feel. I'm actually getting old enough that might be a bit confusing. You know,
Yeah,
like
people
my
be like-
back kind of hurts sometimes.
They'll be like, it doesn't really go with your blue hair.
All right, so we will see. I'm still of two minds of whether I'm going to allow Apple's villainy separate me from my beloved TextMate, but I'm willing to experiment and entertain the option now. Let's go, NeoVim. Show me what you got.
Let's go!
Bruh.
One thing that you got to appreciate about NeoVim is that its ability to highlight well with Tree Sitter.
True.
If you ever wish to dip down in and use a little bit of Lua, honestly, the APIs, they're pretty dang good, TJ.
Thanks.
There's
I
very
helped
few
with
that
some
I
of
have
those.
any sort of problem with. The
Just
rest
the
are
ones-
fantastic.
You just don't like the ones with lines because it is confusing. I won't lie to you. One base versus zero base versus Lua versus Vim. It's they're tough, but that's okay. Otherwise, I think they're good.
They're tough. Sometimes buffner, sometimes buffer, sometimes buff. You know, there's a couple that have some historical difficulties that have experienced.
There
You
are
know.
no keys that are not buff. All the keys are buff, but there are
No,
some
there's one
variable names
there's a
called
key that's
buffer.
buffer.
Or maybe they're all buffer. Maybe that's what I mean to say. I think you're right. They're all buffer, not buff.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will believe you, TJ.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
Justin,
Core
make sure it
contributor
happens.
to NeoVim. When was the last time you core contributed to NeoVim, TJ?
I wrote the Vim 9 script to Lua compiler. That was
I
sometime
liked
last
how you
year.
tried to dodge my question by saying something that sounds super impressive, but not answering my question. When was the last time?
So as I was saying,
contributed?
it was last year,
Okay.
like in 2023. And then if we merged several files in that were a result of the transpiler. I don't remember the month though.
Probably January or something like that.
Probably was pretty early in the year. That's true.
It was really early. I just remembered being early.
Yeah.
Hey, that's pretty cool though. That's pretty cool.
Hey, when's the last time you contributed to NeoVim Core?
I haven't.
See ya, Flip. It was nice knowing you.
Flip, zoom out. Flip, zoom way out.
Flip, this is a marker. Cut this part.
Oh my goodness. Anyways, no one really liked TJ anyways. So, I mean, I think we can all agree to that one, right, everybody?
The name is I wrote Falcor again.
Okay, you can't use the word again because that somehow implies that I've actually done it. And that's offensive. Oh man. Okay, so hey, final thoughts. Final thoughts on Vim, the DHH arc, and really all the things we've read. Because what has DHH done in the last few months? Let's see. From cloud to his own self-hosting with Hey,
Yep.
dropping build with JavaScript,
Yep.
dropping types and just literally raw dog and JavaScript. I wonder if there's some JS doc floating around in there or not, because that's quite useful. And then lastly, now apparently upgrading from TextMate to NeoVim.
Well, they also did. They released their first like chat application thingy for their
Once.
like once.com. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? Where you just download it and then you run it, which I thought was kind of cool as well.
I thought it was really neat that it was done at an exceptionally cheaper cost than Slack, and you get to own the data. I think there's a huge, I think there is like I think he's leading this idea, whether we realize it or not, where people are tired of subscription services and services owning your data and
Yeah.
the ability as a company to have your own data.
Yes. For chat, I think it's a little complicated because apparently there's a million regulations about it. But like, I do still like this sort of concept, or at least just the option. I mean, it'd be cool to like run your own chat for like your friends or something, even. You know what I mean? Like where it's
Yeah.
not like on Discord, and like, what if Discord goes down and you like lose all of your chats forever?
Yeah.
Right? Like you don't own your chats when they're in Discord. It'd be kind of cool to be able to do. So I don't know. And then now in the NeoVim thing, I'm excited. I'm hopeful that he doesn't hate it, because then he's going to write a really bad article. So DHH, like I said, reach out. We wanna help you and make sure it's good. So you write a nice article about it next time.
It wouldn't be a
Please.
bad article. It'd be beautifully written dunking on NeoVim.
But that's what I'm worried about.
We will read it either way on
I'm
stream.
worried. I'm worried I'll agree by the end. You know, like what if he changes my mind again and now I hate NeoVim?
What happened if you're using TextMate by the end of his arc?
I've actually started. I've used TextMate and I was wrong. LSP useless. Types useless. Typing useful.
Boom. Can't argue with that one. The name.
I'm
What is it, TJ?
full-time streaming on Twitch now on twitch.tv/TEEJ_DV because I quit my job to try this, and hopefully Prime will do it too. Bye.
Accurate.